Hello, you. Who are you? Who am I speaking to? As I'm looking into the eye of the camera, I'm imagining a soul that will resonate with mine. This is not to say that my soul is so unique, so unfathomable, or so incomprehensible, but it's a big world, and I have to admit that as of today, I feel not seen. And it's not because that it's anybody's fault. I bear responsibility of my invisibility. I've been hiding from the world. Because what? Because of what? Because of my scar. And look at this. Because of this line on my face. Is that surprising to you? Maybe. Or maybe not. But that's the reason. Why? Because it is the crack that makes the reality, quote unquote reality, not true, in my mind, weak. It's the crack that contradicts, that's the word, the reality in my mind. But what was the reality in my mind? That I was beautiful, I was a genius, I was the one and only individual in the world that is better than anybody else. Yeah, I said it. That was exactly how I felt. So what does that make me? As you have guessed, that made me a narcissist. And narcissism for life. Yes, I am a narcissist. And in fact, I have no shame admitting that because it's true. It's been a while since I realized it and became conscious of it. I would say about 2 or 3 years ago, I started to first become aware of this thing in me that always bothered me deeply. It bothered me, but at the same time, it excited me. But when it excited me, I felt like it wasn't the true excitement. It was more like a dark force. But then it wasn't really dark. It was like dark with a reason, except that I had never found the reason. So long story short, since I became aware of narcissism, that I am actually 100% narcissist, what Dr. Ramani would call a covert narcissist. By the way, I am grateful for Dr. Ramani for all those videos, all those calling outs, analysis, all of that, for discovering that truth about me. But you know, I evolved. So meaning I thought I was going to maybe get stuck once I discovered that I was a narcissist, that, you know, this is something I'm going to work with or work against or whatever till the end of my life, because I thought that was it. That was my problem, right? Yeah, I mean that was my problem. That is still a big problem, but over the course of time, as I started to sort of work on it or whatever, or reflect on it, and go deeper into it, I realized something that is really, I mean, that is part of the reason I'm making this video, is that is not the end of the journey. Because I realized there's a reason for it. And it's not that I'm shifting blame from me, or responsibility from me to something else or some other circumstances that explains my narcissism. It really, because it's true. But anyway, so whatever you think, if you think I'm shifting blame, feel free to turn off the video right now. But if you could give me a few more minutes, I'll explain what is it that I found really fascinating behind this narcissism of me that might help, I'm going to use this really trite expression, fellow narcissists, to become aware and to not be afraid and just go deeper and understand it. Because narcissism, as much as it is a disease, a sickness, like I would say an evil, right? A darkness. There's a reason for it. So it's just like everybody is, well, the world might think otherwise, but my view is everybody is being gay or queer for different reasons. Like, I am not straight. And I realized recently that I'm actually not gay, but that's another day. But so I'm using this analogy to illustrate my point, which is you might be a narcissist. Okay, that is the first step in your journey, that you have to be honest with yourself for whatever reason and say, look, I am a narcissist, or look, I'm not. Whatever it is, be honest with yourself. You don't have to share this with anybody. You don't have to share this with your therapist, your partner, your mother, whoever, your sister. But I hope you'll be able to be honest with yourself, because let me tell you, once you do that, at first it was like terrifying, like I was dying, right? Not because I'm a narcissist, I mean, just because I'm human, you know? It's more like saying to yourself, wow, you're a fake. You're a complete failure. You're a loser. It's a lie. All of you is a lie. So that is really that was murder. That was suicide, right? But once you admit to yourself that, especially if it's true, you started to, I don't know, like, I wouldn't even say feel different, but anyway, life started to change for me. I held this secret for a long time from somebody I care for, from all those closest to me, which are really very few. Partly, of course, because I'm a narcissist, right? But I held it to myself. Like, I wouldn't let myself drop it or forget about it or just move past it. I would tell myself, look, I'm a narcissist. I'm a narcissist. I'm a narcissist. What do? Am I irredeemable? Am I beyond evil? Am I just like, I'm not even qualified to be human, right? Sometimes I thought so because I deeply resonated with, for example, Dr. Ramani's analysis and all those videos and stuff. But that's not why I'm making today's video, because so I'm gonna get into this whole reason behind narcissism, which is, I think, the key of understanding it more fully, of understanding yourself. And it's not about being better, being more superior, or get away from it. It's about being real. And it's really against being narcissist, is being real. And of course, you have to want to be real, right? I realize I want to be real. I can't really say that it's 100% that I want to be real, but I want to be real more than I want to be right. More than I want to be superior, more than I want to be loved, applauded, or validated. But of course, that was not like an instant realization. It was something that I realized over time, which explained what I was saying about the whole, it was darkness, but it was not all darkness, that kind of shit. So I realized the reason of my narcissism is, part of it is inheritance, meaning I inherited this view that I am a genius, that I am superior, that I am better than anybody, that I am right. And even I'm wrong, I'm right. Like I'm better than anyone else. So that was an inherited view that I inherit. That was a part of the reason, but that was not all of it. The other part was, what is the other part? The other part is, I don't know. I think I'm going to bring in a new element into this whole picture, which is going to be, you'll see in maybe the upcoming videos or whatever, this where I stand, which actually turns out that I am against Dr. Ramani. I'm against the majority of the narcissist literature out there. I highly recommend people who are not yet conscious, or maybe half conscious, or even fully conscious of your narcissism, to read or check out this this guy, this professor. I don't remember the name, but he wrote a book called Malignant Self-Love. So this is the kind of literature that you want to get into instead of Dr. Ramani or whoever. Every single, a million click view video about narcissism, about how evil they're, just forget about it. I want you to check out Malignant Self-Love, and maybe look at some of his videos, because he is a narcissist. And he's basically doing this, like, self-expose, of analysis, of like laying bare this whole narcissist mentality, right? But like I said, every narcissist is different. I don't know what made him into a narcissist, but here is the key that I'm going to release here. Perhaps this is narcissist too, for me to just like say, oh, I'm releasing into the world. But this is truly something that I feel is true. And I don't know if anybody is going to resonate with me, but it's okay. I have to put it out there in case there's a resonance, or in case it could either awaken, assist, or support, or challenge, whatever. Some of the views of whether a fellow narcissist or somebody who's against narcissism, who's absolutely not a narcissist. I mean, doesn't matter to me. So the element I'm going to bring into this picture of being a narcissist is empathy. So if you're a narcissist, 100%, not 100%, if you're a narcissist, but you're not empathic, it's hard. Because I don't know how you can get empathy, how you can develop empathy. I don't know. I don't know if my empathy is even developed or inborn. I'm not sure. But I know that I have empathy, and it's not cold empathy. I do have empathy. So, okay, good. I found the link. So part of the reason I became a narcissist, I inherited it, was because of my empathy. Because I empathize with my mother. And, well, at the time, not with my father. Although both are narcissists, and please don't think of this as my blame onto my parents. It's just a fact that, so I'm going to focus on my mother right now because I'm talking about empathy. So because of my empathy, that I feel I identify myself with my mother almost completely, that I took on the narcissism in her, and her view of me, like, it's almost like I felt she didn't just think that I'm a genius child, that I'm the best in the world, that I'm like beyond human. She also perhaps wanted me to think the same. I think that was probably it there too, but part of my narcissist origin was my empathy. That's what I realized. And that's liberating in a way, because not really because it explained partly my narcissism. It was also because it gave me hope that I do have empathy. And yeah, I want empathy. I want light. I want to be happy for the world. I want to be sad when there's pain in other people. So this is something that you have to ask yourself, like, what is it that you really want? Like, for me, these are important to me. Even if I have been a narcissist, I've never really given those up. Even if when I was at the height of my narcissism, like harming people, like being this prince, this king of this like tyrant, I still, those things still like grow and live in my heart. They still have not died. So empathy is part of the reason I became a narcissist. But what's more important? Empathy coupled with consciousness is going to be the key. Not curing narcissism, but checking it, curbing it, integrating it, and learning from it. So that's what I'm doing right now. And so this is the concept I'm going to throw out there, which is there exists a type of existence, me, for example, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. What type of existence? What I'm going to call a narcissist empath, or an empathic narcissist who is conscious. So, and I think that this type of existence is going to be tremendously contributory to the world. Why? Because what makes narcissism irredeemable in a way is because of the lack of empathy, the sheer lack of empathy, and the absolute impossibility of ever getting empathy. So for a narcissist to be able to have empathy and to like be sure of having it is in itself already on a revolutionary road, right? And also it's interesting too, because as an empath, a lot of times an empath is struggling with boundaries. You know, it's like, oh, I'm soaking in all those emotions around me. I'm feeling all those things in the world that I shouldn't be feeling, but I feel all the way. I mean, anyway, I feel like narcissism is like this selfish pair of eyes, or this superior mind that kind of cuts the empathy and be like, shit, come on, you focus on yourself. You're more important, right? So that kind of helps the empath build the boundary. So that is contributory to the empathic element of existence as well. So it's like narcissism and empathy. They, instead of, well, they are they're like black and white in a way, yeah. But instead of being black and white and enemies, they work together. I mean, in me, I've started to make them work together. So I think in a lot of the times, I don't know the percentage. I think I'm both. So a lot of times I catch myself, you know, feeling this entitlement, feeling this superiority, feeling a lot of jealousy, a lot of bitterness, resentment. But then beside that, or enmeshed with that, there is empathy. There is another point of view. There is like a tolerance. You know, there is just a different voice. And I don't know, like that. So that is really a exciting discovery for me. And so I don't know how to say, don't desert yourself, don't abandon yourself just because of all the narcissist literature out there. You know, everybody putting down narcissists as if they are the problem. Yes, narcissism is a big problem. I mean, it's darkness, it's human darkness, but it's human. So I think in a way it's a matter of quantity. It's not quality. So it's like, you know, how much hair you have. Do you have a bald head, or do you have long hair up to your butt? So, you know, what is being poured into the world, and it's really unhealthy, is to put the narcissist on a pedestal and be like shooting dart. Everybody's shooting dart into the heart of the narcissist. It's almost like performing this like assassination, right? I mean, yes, it has to be called out. It has to be fought against. It has to be detected and recognized and defended against. But it's very easy for them to do. Why? Because when somebody talks about, oh, who else is a narcissist? I'm being harmed by narcissists. I'm being abused. Suddenly they're not narcissists, right? So suddenly they're innocent. Especially for those self-professed empaths who talks about the bitter experience of being harmed by narcissists, which I'm not saying it's not valid. A lot of it is valid, but at the same time, ask yourself, if you're an empath, how did you get this deep? Why do you stay? What does the so-called narcissist see or say about you that excites you and fascinate you and make you feel like seen, that the whole world has not seen, especially the non-narcissists, right? And you'll realize, of course, the world already knows this. The trick narcissists use against whether empath or whoever, or even fellow narcissists, is they pick a crack in another human being and they make the other person think that they are the only person who's able to see them, what the world cannot see. And that is the problem. That is the problem that the other person needs to work on, which is, first of all, what is it that is you that the world cannot see? That's one thing. Do you even know that? Or you have to have a narcissist point out for you to realize, oh, that's me, right? The second is, even if there's something in you, whether it's beautiful, intelligent, superior, brilliant, whatever, that the world cannot see, so what? Life goes on. Do you really need a narcissist or whoever to tell you that, to validate that about you, for you to live a better life? If that is true, then you are half responsible. You are half responsible for this whole entanglement, enmeshment with narcissists. So don't come out in the end and point fingers at whoever and say, hey, I've been abused by a narcissist. Yes, you have been. Because you know what? On this spectrum of human narcissism, you happen to be on the low end. And they happen to be on the high end. So so back to the reason I'm making this video is narcissism is not, first of all, narcissism is not the answer to your life. It is almost like a doorway, like a door that you have to open. It's terrifying enough to realize that you're a narcissist. Like, it gave me a lot of shame. It basically humbled me. I felt belittled. I didn't feel good at all. I felt like a complete failure, like I said. But at the same time, don't stop there. Take your own pace and rhythm that feels comfortable to you, that feels good to you. Like, try to process the fact that you're narcissism for as long as you like. Because, I processed it for like, I think maybe half a year to a year. And then I started to open the door. And I opened the door. I don't even know why I opened the door, because I never thought there's something in the back. But anyway, so I processed it. I became more sure of it, not less sure. And I held on to the fact that I'm a narcissist. And then gradually, until a certain point where I started to dig even deeper. And I realized that part of the reason I became a narcissist is because I'm an empath. Of course, that does not explain away the fact that I am a narcissist. There's no excuse for being narcissistic, and it doesn't. And the fact that you have empathy in you doesn't wipe away or erase any of your narcissism. It basically just kind of gives you a better picture of why you're doing it. So go ahead and try to do that and see what you find out. Whether it's empathy or whatever that, you know, no one else sees that you discover, that is great, because narcissism is not something that is flat. That is like a really like ugly disease that you either catch or you don't catch. I mean, it's like a key of some kind. I'm going to call it a key. Yeah, okay, so here's all that is for today. So next time I'm going to talk more about narcissism, empathy, and the fusion. How do you say, the integration, the ownership of both. For example, like I'm both, right? The ownership of both and claiming both parts in yourself and integrating them in your psyche, and how do you say, and how that could be a contribution actually to humanity and to society. Thank you.